So this is our spring break. It was a long winter in Holland, Michigan this year, and spring was late in arriving, so only a few of the famed tulips were in bloom when we got there. Though there were no fields and fields of gloriously colored tulips waving in the wind, we did get to see some early tulips in bloom and found some other interesting things to do and see. The don't miss spot in Holland is the Windmill Island Gardens. We spent a whole afternoon walking the grounds, seeing the tulips that were out and all the other flowers that were in bloom. The mechanical marvel is the 250-year-old windmill that is fully functional and still used to grind grain into flour. That isn't the only mechanical wonder at Windmill Island. The street organ is an amazing contraption that is like a calliope on wheels that uses the same principle as a player piano to create multi-instrument music. At the Delft factory, we saw how Delftware is made and even watched artists as they hand-painted the Delft pieces. We also went to the De Klomp wooden shoe factory. They actually have wooden shoe carving machines imported from the Netherlands. They finish the wood by hand and then they paint them in a zillion different ways. The next stop was Frankenmuth, Michigan. Think Bavaria and you'll be ready to look at Frankenmuth. The founders were Bavarian young people in their 20s who came to America to, quote, give spiritual comfort to German pioneers in the Midwest and to show the native Indians how good and wonderful Jesus is. It should be noted that as we went through the museum and learned the personal history of each of the missionaries, it seemed that many of them might have been running from their youthful indiscretions or simply looking for a mate. The Historical Museum is interactive without the use of internet or even electric technology. Though the founders probably meant for the interactive displays to be used by children, we thoroughly enjoyed playing the games and trying out the interactive stuff. And there were no kids around the day we were there. There are lots of other things to do and see in Frankenmuth, but one thing you can't miss is the Christmas store. It is the biggest Christmas store in the world. It is something to see. Next we went to Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. We went on the Canadian side. We put on our plastic ponchos and took the plunge. And yes, of course, we went to see the falls on a boat through the mist. We were told the Canadian side of the falls was the prettiest and least commercialized, and I think that was true. It was truly a wonder to behold at any rate. What else is there to see at Niagara Falls? Butterflies. Yes, butterflies. With a little searching of the tourist lit, we found the Butterfly Conservatory. The description of the place said they have over 2,000 butterflies made up of 45 different species, and there were butterflies everywhere. It's a fascinating place. Then we went to Seneca Falls, New York. A sleepy little village or a place forever treasured for its place in history? Both are really true, and both made this a special stop on our journey. The well-designed and beautifully executed Women's Rights Historic Park was more than worth the stop in Seneca Falls. It is an amazing facility. So much is packed into a single building on a main street that is only 4 blocks long. If you read every description, studied each artifact, tried to get the feel of standing at the podium where the Declaration of Sentiments was first publicly presented at the first Women's Rights Conference in 1848, and carefully scrutinized each sculpture and examined every picture, it would take you days to do it all. Couple that with a visit to the Women's Hall of Fame, and you have an American women's history course covering contemporary as well as historically important women. The Hall of Fame puts you in the picture. Interestingly, we've sat in meetings with some of the Hall of Fame women. Next, we went to Hamilton Township, New Jersey, where the grounds for sculpture is to be found. It was once the New Jersey State Fairgrounds, and it has been redesigned into a wonderful park where much of the sculpture is the product of one man, John Seward Johnson II, heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune. He's best known for his life-size bronze statues, which are actually castings of living people of all ages. By depicting these people engaged in day-to-day activities, he creates a unique concept of sculpture. A couple of mega sculptures like the famous end of World War II Navy guy kissing a girl in Times Square are almost unbelievable. Peacocks roam the grounds flaunting their beauty, while the work of a few other sculptors can be seen. It is Seward Johnson's work that is most memorable. Here I'm reading the book with this bronze man, and there are really words and diagrams on the page. Here's Linda next to the Navy guy, just to give you a notion of how big this sculpture really is. Here is one of the peacocks that wander the grounds. If you've ever played Crack the Whip, you know what's going on here. This father and son are typical of the ordinary-looking folks you see all over the place, and you never know for sure if they're real till you get very close. This is one of the funniest ones. In that pot are human bones and a skull, as well as crocodiles, and the name of the piece is Seen Larry Lately? Finally, the most poignant. This one is dated September 11th, 2001, where a businessman is shockingly somber as he tries to figure out what is left now that the towers have fallen. So that's an overview of our vacation. We had a great time. That's all for now.